Hello, and welcome back to the EDC Squirrel. Got a new one today that I actually unboxed and showed on my live, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail on this new one from Kansept. This one, now I hope I'm pronouncing it right, is called the Kansept New Wall. And let's open the box here and you can see what we've got. First of all, we've got I believe there are warranties in here as well as a Kansept microfiber cleaning cloth. And we've got some extra parts, and you can see here that these extra parts are actually Omega springs. So we know we have a crossbar lock. And I got some non-edible candy. And then we'll put all this back in here. And let's take a look at the knife itself. Got your standard Kansept pouch. I do like these little pouches. I've got a bunch of them now. And here's the knife itself. Now, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's called the Nahwal, and it's spelled N-A-H-U-A-L. Now, to get all the specifics out of the way, this one does have an overall length when it's open of 7.02 inches, a blade length of 2.95 inches, and it is a MagnaCut steel blade, which is a big reason why I got this particular version of it. They say it's a dagger style blade, which I'm not quite sure. We'll take a look at it a little bit more closely, but it looks to me like a sheep's foot. Flat ground blade, stone washed finish, and for the scales, this is a carbon fiber flaked scale with a titanium bolster liners, as you can see here. Yeah, the handle itself is titanium, and we've got carbon fiber flake scales or inserts there. We do have a lanyard hole and a titanium pocket clip, which appears to be reversible. And it is a crossbar lock. A deployment is done via thumb hole, or you can use the crossbar lock to deploy. Now, the thumb hole on this one is really easy to use and really easy to spider flick. In fact, when it comes to using the thumb hole on this, I find that reverse flicking or the spider flick, or the spidey flick, is the easiest way for me to deploy this, or using the crossbar lock. For some odd reason, I have a little bit more trouble with the thumb hole. It doesn't seem to pop out as quickly. It might just be me, because when I fidget with a knife, I tend to use a spidey flick anytime I have a thumb hole. And so I'm a lot more practiced with that, actually, than even using my thumb. And I'll absentmindedly spidey flick a knife over and over as I'm working or sitting at my desk. Now, taking a close look while this is still closed, we can see that the blade looks very well centered in that well. Let me make sure I get that in focus. Very well centered in that well. And total weight on this one comes to about 4.25 ounces. Designer on this is also Javier. Sorry, I have trouble with names. Garcia. And I think he also has a logo of his on here. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, let's open up that blade one more time. And you can see why on their listing, I'm not sure what they mean by dagger. It looks more like a very robust looking sheep's foot. I really like the blade shape on this one. We have some jimping on the spine here and a nice little ramp up. It's almost like a sheep's foot and a harpoon had a baby, but I really like that little ramp up. A good spot to place the thumb. It rests perfectly right there. And also you have a very generous finger choil. Allows me to choke up even further on that blade for very precise control when cutting. I especially like this type of hold when I'm dealing with a sheep's foot or even a Warncliffe type blade that allows for very precise draw cutting and really good control over that blade. The movement of the blade is nice and smooth. That was right out of the box. We have just a barest minimum of a liner here where the lanyard is, and I don't really see any other standoffs in the handle itself. Now, like I said before, this is a Magna Cut steel blade, and it was my primary draw in deciding to pick this knife up. They do have two other versions that I'm aware of. There is a Magna Cut steel blade that's blacked out, or blackwash, with a blue, I think they call it fat carbon. Actually, I think the name they call it is Arctic Storm fat carbon handle, which is like a bluish fat carbon handle. And the other version they have is a copper carbon fiber handle, which I normally would immediately gravitate towards, except that one has a Damascus steel blade. And while I do really like Kansept's Damascus steel, I believe they use two different types of stainless steel in order to create their Damascus. I really, really wanted the Magna Cut. Magna Cut is one of my favorite steels when it comes to knives, and I don't really have a lot of them. The only other Magna Cut knives that I have are from Kershaw, and they're the quite famous and popular Bel Airs. But once I found that this one had Magna Cut, I immediately wanted this version here. And I do prefer a naked blade over a coated one, personally. It's just more of an aesthetic thing for me. Taking a closer look at the blade, we have the Kansept logo on one side, and what appears to be, Magna Cut down towards the pivot, and it looks like a part number or a version number for this knife. On the other side, we have, I would think that's the designer logo, and then I'm not quite sure. Oh, there it is. Okay. The name of the knife itself, the Nawal. And again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I really love the look of the shredded carbon fiber on this, and it works really well with the titanium, and then these, I'd call it brass accents. The crossbar lock has a decent amount of tension when trying to actuate the lock. It doesn't feel too loose or anything like that. So I know, let's take a look at that Bel Air for comparison. Maybe I can explain a little better what I'm talking about. The Bel Air, while I do really like their crossbar lock, it's the tension on the springs for the crossbar lock are pretty light. They're not bad. I really love the Bel Air. They're not bad, but they are pretty light. The Nawal has a much stronger tension. It's not difficult to manipulate. It's actually quite nice, but it is noticeably stronger than the Bel Air. And also, one other thing of note in comparison to the Bel Air, I don't have any other Magna Cut knives to really compare these, but again, these are favorites of mine for a very good reason. Really good knives, really good blades, and I love the steel. But if you look at the Kansept, you can see the blade stock on the Kansept is quite a bit thicker, much more robust than the Kershaw, and a good deal of cutting edge on this one. I just wanted to try to compare. I know it's visual, you can't really feel the difference in the springs, but it was just something that I wanted to note, especially the thickness of the blade. I do love that larger finger choil, and you got a real good amount of belly there for cutting surface. And again, the sheep's foot is just one of my favorite profiles when it comes to a utilitarian, an EDC utility blade. Okay, let's see how sharp this is on the box. Grab some magazine paper. Nice, smooth cuts. Very nice sounding. Very crisp edges on the paper. Very crisp lines on that cut. I can even bevel the paper a little bit. And this does feel super sharp all along that edge. Very smooth feeling. Very smooth sounding. And that's right out of the box. I haven't stropped this, done any sharpening or anything like that to it. So nice to see. Really good finishing job on that edge out of the box. Aesthetically, I think this is a very beautiful piece. Now, the pocket clip isn't really very deep carry and is a little on the thinner side of the pair. So it looks like it should have no problem sitting in a pants pocket. I do wish it was a little deeper carry. And again, there's the lanyard hole. Pretty generous there. I do like that you do have an extra set of springs for this one. So I presume this would be pretty easy to take apart to replace those springs if needed. So aesthetically, a very beautiful knife in my opinion. I love the brass. I love the brass highlights on this one, on the pivot, on the crossbar lock, and on the screws. Very nicely smoothed out edges, so it's very comfortable to hold in the hand. No sharp edges on the scales or handle really to speak of. Doesn't feel uncomfortable in any way. I can get a full gorilla grip on there, as well as various other grips for very precise control, and they're comfortable in any way that I've held this knife, thanks in part to the fairly neutral grip. The pocket clip, while it sits nice and flat, doesn't feel like it would be any problem. Even with extended like cutting tasks and doing a lot of cutting or anything like that, I do feel it back there, but I don't feel like that's going to get uncomfortable with any extended use. A very neat looking blade in my opinion. I really like the blade profile on this. This is something that I could see being very capable for a lot of tasks. I love the Magna Cut steel. And like I said before, it's probably my favorite steel. When it's just a very, very good all-around blade. So very excited to finally get my hands on a new Magna Cut steel blade, especially from Kansept. Again, really loving this shape. It's very fidgety. I love the action on this, especially with the spider or reverse flick. I wish that it was a little easier for me to use with a thumb. I'm finding that I'm having to still utilize my wrist a little bit. I don't know if it's because I've been doing the reverse flick more often. I just don't use my thumb for thumb holes very often. That very well could be the reason. But it is fun to use. The crossbar lock feels nice and sturdy. In fact, I didn't check this before, but when it's locked open, no movement on the blade, either up or down, left and right. Very solid lockup. And I am very happy with this one. Now, this one again is available at the Kansept website. Excuse me. I got mine from Whatnot, but the price you're going to see for most retailers for this one is going to be about $240. Or no, I'm sorry, scratch that. $214 for this particular version. The copper carbon fiber with Damascus blade is going to run a little higher at $240, and the black wash titanium with the Arctic Storm Fat carbon handle is going to run you about $249. So the prices are basically going to vary between $214 to $250, depending on the version that you go for. And still might vary further depending on the retailer, but that's the prices that I see on the Kansept website itself. I'll go ahead and put a link below if you're interested in taking a closer look at it yourself. Again, very impressive knife, really comfortable. I just can't get enough of that blade shape. I really like the aesthetics on this one. And I'm just excited to have another Magna Cut steel blade in my collection. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked what you saw, please drop a like down below. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified as soon as a new video drops. Let me know in the comments below if you plan on getting this knife or if you already have it. Let me know what you think about it. I'd love to hear your opinion on this one. I personally think it's a very beautiful knife. I love the look. It's not overly done. The shape of that blade, to me, is just really cool looking. And I love, love, love this sheep's foot and the way it feels in the hand. Very comfortable to hold. But I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me. Thank you for all your support and hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.